What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your host, Kivanshi. Okay, now because I always forget this, for those of you watching and honestly those of you listening, we just gonna do the plug right up front. Okay, if you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, get up in them comments, do what you need to do, interact. I literally talk back. I love talking to y'all. Okay, if you're listening on Spotify, go ahead, hit a little thumbs up. You can participate in the polls or the Q&As and stuff that I put on there. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can go ahead and actually leave a review. You can rate it from 1 to 5 stars, put your little name on there. You can put your real name, you can put a fake name, you can do whatever you want to zip, but you can actually type some stuff up there for me. So yeah, I decided I wanted to get that out of the way from the beginning because I am terrible at this. If you're just listening, it's a lot easier, but on the YouTube side of things, man, I just I'm 35. Like, I'm just not one of those. I'm really getting to the point where it's like, if you like me, it's because you like me, like I'm your cup of tea. Now, it's not saying that I'm not going to put my best foot forward. I like to get on here, especially when I'm in a good mood. Sometimes I push through when I feel mentally and emotionally like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to deliver. So there's a lot of like internal effort, perseverance, and a little bit of resilience that goes into these things as well. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't remember my internal question, but welcome back to another episode of So There's That. If you could not tell by the title, we are going to be recapping season 1, episode 1 of From. Okay, you can find From on MGM. Now, you will need some prescription glasses in order to watch it. Okay, Prime Video is not just gonna let you watch it, and I'm gonna tell you, it's absolutely worth it. Now, at first, I wasn't gonna get it. But everybody kept talking about it, and like my stepmama, she'll be watching shows, but she hit me up like, you need to watch this show, you need to watch this show. And her and my dad finished it, so I'm like, okay, let me go back, let me watch it. And it did not disappoint, like, whatsoever. It's in the horror, like sci-fi genre, which is what I love. My favorite genre is psychological horror. But I love, like, sci-fi is like my second favorite genre. So when you're putting horror, sci-fi, you know, things in the realm of like a Stephen King type of situation, I love it there because they just take so many risks, and it doesn't have to make sense. It just needs to be good. Like, they really play into especially when you do like horror, sci-fi, you really play into the nonsensical reasons of it all. Like, oftentimes you don't really get like a backstory of why things happen. You just show up in the middle of the first episode and it's just like, oh, okay, so this is a thing. And some of my favorite ways to start a show is without a backstory. Like, I like being like 6 episodes in, then they're telling us, okay, how did we get here? Especially for a horror sci-fi, because you want your viewer to jump in and be like, oh my god, like, oh my god, what's next, and that's what this show does. So before going into the full recap, I want to go ahead and give my information from the begin. Okay, so this episode's title is called Long Day's Journey into Night. The creator of the show is John Griffin. Why? I'm getting tongue-tied. The creator of the show is John Griffin, and it stars Harold Perrineau, the Mercutio. Okay, like, iconic. And his performance in this show is unlike any I've ever seen. And one thing about Harold is you will see him in a vast number of roles, and like in your mind, or if you're somebody who's like loosely tracking him, you're gonna be like, what? Like, not the dude from Romeo and Juliet, like not the dude from The Best Man, like what? Like, what are you talking about? If you follow him like I know like black audiences do, his range knows no bounds. There's a level of commitment and passion that he just throws into every character. So it really does not matter if he's going from like a flamboyant Mercutio to a sheriff in this show. What is a constant is what he gives in every performance. He's never holding back. It's always like 10,000%, and you just have no choice but to watch him and to just be in awe of him. It also stars Catalina Sandino, Eion Bailey, and Elizabeth Saunders. Now, Elizabeth Saunders, she's an actress and an acting coach, and I don't know if it was in this episode or episode 2. I'm on episode 5 right now. But there was a scene between her and Harold, and I was like, I sent out a tweet, and I was like, can somebody please tell me, was this her genuine real life, like, I forgot that I was in a scene reaction? Or is her character, is she just so good in her character that it was a character reaction? And she responded to me and said that it was her character's reaction because in real life she probably would have hauled off and hit him. But it was just really, the acting is just, they should have called this like a horror sci-fi comedy, or maybe it's just me from laughing. I can't even, like, I have the giggles right now. The cast is just amazing, and being an actress myself and just finishing up a film, a horror film specifically, I know like how much funny is actually behind the scenes in horror, and like some of the things that you have to commit to, and then it's like cut and you're just dying laughing because it's just like, wow. And that's the beauty of horror, and that's the beauty of sci-fi, because you can do literally whatever you want. Anyway, so the director of episode 1 is Jack Bender, and he's known for directing movies like Child's Play 3. He directed some episodes on Lost between 2007 and 2008 season. He directed an episode on The Lone Ranger, and he's also done a few movies with John Ritter. May he rest in peace. So I was looking like on the internet and stuff, and I think I saw like 3 to 4 movies with John Ritter. And another thing that I love is like when directors and actors like form a relationship, and whether the actor wrote something and they're like, I want this director, or whether the director is like directing something and has like an actor in mind. I really like that relationship because it shows like the trust and the symbiotic relationship and the listening that goes back and forth. A movie is really, really good, and a TV show is like really good and really well established when you can tell that everybody had a listening ear, everybody led with respect in any changes or any direction that was given from the director to the actors, or a suggestion from the actor back to the director. You can just tell that a relationship is really good because the scene itself like comes to life, and it makes you feel deeply, if that makes any sense. I will say an example of that is I want to say episode 4 of Baby Reindeer, where we really dive into like the trauma of things, and it was told in a way that was very real. But the only way that that worked is if the actor, the director, and the writers really sat down and like listened and worked to the vision and not working to their ego. And what I like in the episodes of From that I've seen so far, and particularly this episode directed by Jack Bender, is everybody's like trusting the direction, and it just made for a really phenomenal first episode. So what makes this episode so phenomenal, so funny, so good? Let's go ahead and jump right on in. All right, so the episode is 53 minutes long. The premise is it's a nightmarish town in middle America, so they don't really say where they're trapped and they're trying to survive. They're trying to survive night creatures and each other. So we open up, there's this like bell tolls in the background, but we have Harold Perrineau's character. He's a sheriff. His name is Sheriff Boyd. He's walking down like the middle of this road, kind of like a dirt pavement, but like a little bit of road. And he's ringing this bell. And everybody's like sort of reacting to it. And so he's outside ringing the bell, and we go inside of a restaurant. And Sarah, who's a waitress there, she's like, okay guys, let's close out our tab, let's get ready and go and close in for the night, like we're getting ready to go. She's like, have a safe walk home, like a safe drive home. So they're all getting ready to leave, and then she locks up and she's looking out the window, and then she goes and looks at this talisman that's like hanging on like near the door. And it's about this, like, if you put, it's like a silver $1.50 size, and there's these images and stuff etched in it. So she kind of touches it, and then she's locking up, and then the little jukebox on the table starts to play, and the song that's playing is called We Gotta Get Out of Here. So one of the things that I noticed is, like, a lot of times you'll get shows with music and like the music is the vibe. But in the show, I noticed that the songs are a part of the story. So even the title of the song, We Gotta Get Out of Here, is kind of giving you like a foreshadowing of like their situation. So then we go to, it's like an assisted living facility. It's a really small town, so the buildings are kind of like far apart, kind of like the country, and they look real rundown, real beat down. So we go into this assisted living facility, and there's a father and a son, and they're playing chess, but they're hearing like the bell and stuff like that, and it's getting a little dark outside. So the EMT, she comes over and she's like, hey, we gotta go into the basement, it's time to lock up. And the dad is like knocking the chess pieces off the table, and he's like, no, like we need to finish. And she was like, no, like remember like what we said, we gotta go downstairs and we gotta lock up, we could do this in the morning. So then we find out that the son is the deputy, and they have like the nurse's aide ends up taking him downstairs while the EMT walks the deputy outside. And they're flirting a little bit. You can kind of tell that they like each other, and he's like, you're really good with him. And they kind of have like this awkward moment, and she's just like, okay, well, you need to be getting out of here, like it's getting dark soon. He was like, yeah, take care of my dad for me, I'll be back in the morning. All right, so during this time, right, you're just knowing that this bell is sounding, and people are going inside and they're touching on like this talisman or whatever. So Sheriff Boyd ends up going inside of the post office, and outside of the post office it says 96 days since last incident. So he's going in there, and he goes to lock up and everything like that. Then we go to a different scene. It's these two men in a house, and they have like sheets and blankets and stuff over the windows, and they've been drinking a little bit. And the friend, he's like, what's this man's name? Frank. So he's like, Frank, like, wake up, wake up. Frank is passed out on his back on the floor, and the guy's like, Frank, like, get up, you need to go home. And Frank just kind of rolls over and goes to sleep. So the friend was like, Lauren is gonna kill you. So he just starts to board up, because at this point you can't get him up. He wasn't like super drunk, but you're also not sober enough to like get him or even take him. And at this point it's about safety. So Frank is on the ground. Then we move on to Lauren actually being outside her door, and the daughter is like, where's daddy? And she was like, daddy sometimes gets forgetful. And she's like, well, he's supposed to be here before dark. And Lauren was like, let's just get inside, we'll see daddy in the morning. So she goes inside. She was like, go upstairs, I'm about to lock up and get everything situated down here. I'll be upstairs for you to say your prayers, and then we can go ahead and go to bed. So mom is locking up downstairs, and daughter, I want to say her name is Megan, is upstairs, and she's starting her prayers of like, now I lay me down to sleep. we're gonna park here because I hate that prayer. I remember one of my aunties taught me that prayer when I was little, and when I was like 7, I was saying it and I stopped and I was like, I don't want to say this anymore. She's like, well, you need to say your prayers before you go to bed. And I was like, but why would I say if I die before I wake? I don't want to do that. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't feel comfort in this prayer. So I don't know. Why do we say that? Like, I don't know. It's like trust in the Lord, but also like, if I die before I wake, no. I'm like 7. The world is my oyster. Like, what are we talking about? So baby girl is saying her prayers, and then you hear like a soft knock on the window, and you hear, hello, little girl, it's grandmama. Go ahead and open up the window. And she's like, well, I'm not supposed to. And she was like, I'm just out here and I'm so lonely and I'm so cold. You don't want to leave grandma out here freezing and shivering, do you? I promise if you open up the window, I won't tell anybody. It'll be our little secret. And the girl, she's like 6, 7. And she's like, you promise? Would grandma ever break a promise? So mom is coming upstairs and Megan is going to the window. So she pulls back the curtains and you see this ghastly looking lady, and she's like, oh, how I missed you. Why don't you let me in? And so Lauren comes behind and she's like, Megan, get away from the window. And the lady's like, grandma's so lonely and so cold. Are you gonna leave her out here? And mom's like, that is not your grandma. Back away from this window, little girl. And so grandma leans in and she's like, sweetie, don't you want to let me in? Go ahead. And May opens up the window and mom is screaming. And as she's screaming no and trying to get to her daughter, the old lady like turns into this monster. She has sharp teeth and claws. And then we cut to this eerie version of que será, which means what will be, will be. And it's kind of like, y'all know True Blood, when it's like, I wanna do bad things to you. Da, 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 da. So kind of like this distorted like country thing. And so it's like, que será, like just very moody. It's very moody. I love it. It's scary. I like when horror movies and TV shows take a normal song and just make it be something that you like don't ever want to listen to again. Like the movie Fallen. Oh my god, what were they whistling? My stepmom still can't listen to that song to this day. Oh my god, it's Fallen with Denzel Washington, John Goodman, and oh my god, they had this song on a commercial, and I'll never forget when the commercial came on, like early 2000s, and she like hurried up and turned the TV because she didn't want to time is on my side. Yes, it is. She cannot listen to that song to this day. Then you had Jordan Peele do the I got 5 on it, doom doom, da dum dum, da dum dum, da dum dum, with Us, and it was just that ding ding, da dum dum, ding ding. Like I love when shows do that. So like if you go listen to the song, like I said, it's like really beautiful. But here, right after the death of this girl and her mom, it's que será, like a funeral. It's crazy. So the opening credits and the title comes up, and we get the title music and everything like that I just nerded out on. And we're on this open road, and it's a family of 4. You got a husband, a wife, a son, and a daughter. And the daughter's telling like this creepy story to the brother, and he's all, mommy, tell her to stop. All type of situations. And the mom goes back and she's like, you know, monsters don't exist, babe. And this is like again, foreshadowing for the viewer, because we just saw a monster like eat a child. So we're driving on the road, we're not really seeing no signs, And she's like, oh, baby boy, like there's no monsters, like monsters aren't real. Let's try to think of it in a different way. And she does this throughout this episode where the sister is like antagonizing the brother like an older sister does. But then the mom she'll say it's not real, but then give him like another ridiculously untrue story or version to ease his pain or ease his imagination. And the dad be like rolling his eyes and stuff, so you can kind of tell that there's a lot of like coddling and a lot of like lack of truth telling between the mom and the son. So at this point, I'm just pretty much assuming like the sister probably was like, oh, Santa Claus is not real, and then mom is like, no, your sister's just, oh, well think of it this way and think of it that way. I don't know, she was getting on my nerves. Now when I watched this show, I was on my period, so like she was like annoying me on like molecular levels. Like my uterus was ready to like throw her out of this RV. It was a mess. We're not gonna go back. So Frank is kind of like drunk, walk of shaming down the road, kind of teeter-tottering or whatever. And he's pulling up to his house and he sees like everybody outside the house. So he was like, what did Lauren rope y'all into this time? And he stops because everybody's looking at him and they are not like, they ain't holding no cookies, they're not holding no signs, they're not doing nothing, and everybody's just looking at him. So then he looks towards the house and Sheriff Boyd sees him like as he was coming downstairs, coming out, and he walks out and he grabs Frank and slaps the dog shit out of him, y'all. I mean, cocked his hand back and slapped the shit out of him. And I just watched this episode again before sitting to record, and I laugh every single time. Because why did you slap that man like that? He slapped him. So he's like holding on to him and he was like, what did I tell you? When you have kids, you nail the windows shut. You nail the windows shut. So he's like pointing to the windows and he slaps the shit out of him again. So then he's dragging him in the house. He's like, get in here. You about to go see this. And Frank's like, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to. And like literally it's written in the script. He's like, I don't want to. And Sheriff is dragging his ass up them stairs and throws him in there and like grabs his face and forces him to look, and you literally just see his wife and his daughter torn to pieces. The only thing that's not shredded up are their faces, chest, stomach, thighs, everything is their bodies and insides are all over the room. And Frank throws up at the sight of it, and Sheriff like pushes him down and he's like, we went 96 days with no incident. You want to sit up here and choose drinking? Like he's chastising the hell out of Frank. And Frank just over there boo-hooing and shit. And so then Sheriff goes downstairs and the priest was downstairs like ear hustling, but he's like frightened too. And Sheriff was like, they all yours, because I'm not gonna be dealing with this. Like we done went 3 months and 6 days for nothing, and now a mother and child is killed because you want to go drink. Now, I will say, I'm not blaming the mama, but I feel like if a rule was if you had kids to nail the windows shut, Lauren, why weren't the windows nailed shut? I don't understand sending your daughter up the stairs without you and not actually having her be with you as you moved through the house to make sure that everything was locked up. So this is where the buddy system and the wingman concept come in, because why did you do this by yourself? At the end of the day, she is a child. Y'all know these things come to the windows. You know these things are beguiling, and you know that they try to trick you in order to get you to open up. So in this aspect, both the mother and the father failed this little girl. So we're back on the road and they are pulling up to this spot and there's a big tree blocking their way. So they stop and they get out, and the husband gets out just to kind of see like if there's any way on like the left and right of them. They're surrounded by woods, but you know, let me just look to see if I can like squeeze, you know, to the left or the right. The wife goes, why is there a tree in the road? I don't know, lady. We pulled up in the same time. We're in the same vehicle. Both of our eyes saw this at the same time. Why are you asking me why is there a tree in a row? Like, oh my God, my biggest pet peeve. We are experiencing the same thing at the same time, and then you're asking me why. And they say, why the fuck are you asking me stupid questions? So the dad was like, I don't know, girl, but you know, let's turn around. So the son and the daughter got out the car too, and the son gets up on the like the trunk of the tree, and he's just walking on it while, you know, the mama is being super annoying. And then this crow goes and sits on a branch, and then all of a sudden, like, all these crows be circling him. And I do not play, because when I was a kid, I got circled in the yard by some birds, and I had seen killer birds. I don't do that. So the dad was like, hey, let's just get back in the car, let's turn around and see if we can go find the previous exit so that we can get, you know, out of this and get to our destination. I don't know where they were going, but I don't know, it's probably doesn't matter. Okay, so boom, back at the ranch, Sheriff Boyd goes to like this other side of town, and there's people outside like planting vegetables and this and the third, and he pulls up on who we find out is Donna. Donna is played by Elizabeth Saunders. And so she was like, Sheriff, you got your side, I got mine. Why are you here at my domicile? And he's like, look, I'm here to see my son. There was 2 deaths in there, and you know, I'm just trying to get everything situated for like the funeral and everything. I'm not here to cause no harm. I just want to invite y'all to the funeral, let y'all know what's up on the other side of town, and I want to see my son. So she's like, all right, bet. So he goes in there, and we see Ellis. Now Ellis looked like that one boy who got daddy issues, like famously on the timeline. He's mixed, and he got them vampire looking blue eyes with the curly hair. I cannot remember his name, but his daddy a deadbeat. And so when they brought the camera over to him, that's who it reminded me of, because it seems like Ellis don't like Sheriff Boyd because maybe he also is a deadbeat. I don't know the dynamic. All I know is Ellis don't want to see him. So Ellis is in there with Fatima, and he's drawing her when Sheriff Boyd pulls up, and Fatima's excited to see him. It's been a while, and so she gives him a moment. And he's like, you know, there's been a couple of deaths, and Ellis was like, what they got to do with the price of rice in China, and what they got to do with me. So it's just a little bit beefy up in there. And he was just like, look, I just came because, you know, you liked Lauren, you liked the child. I know, you know, this ain't got nothing to do between me and you. I'm just letting you know, like, to just come out and pay some respects. I'm gonna leave you be, I'm gonna leave you to it, but I did my due diligence. So we're back on the road, and the wife is just wah 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 wah. She's talking to me like I'm dumb. I should have known. I should have left that hoe at home. Cause girl, why is the tree? Why are the birds? Why did we miss this? Why are we going in a circle? Why are we doing this? And then the little boys in the background, Daddy, why did the crows do that? And why are they doing that? And when are we gonna get there? I'm like, oh my God, the son literally inherited her naggingness. Like, is nagging in the double helix of the DNA? Because why? And so he's like, girl, I'm driving slow. What exit did I miss? She was like, well, go to the loop around and then do it. And he's like, what loop around, girl? Show me. Since you got your degree, you know every fucking thing. Oh, okay. So then they drive it through. And they finally hit like a town, because they've been on the road this whole time. And so here go the boy. Why are all the tires flat? Oh, so much. So they're driving through, and then so they see like a group of people. So they're seeing a group of people for the first time. And it's the funeral being held. And so they're pulling up. And so they're at the funeral, and then the sheriff kind of looks back, and the people kind of look back, but then they're continuing on with the funeral, and they're just there. And so the dad was like, y'all stay in the car, like lock the door. I'm gonna just see if I can go get some directions. So they're finishing up with the funeral, and Sheriff Boyd tells everybody, hey, y'all already know the deal. Don't say nothing to them at all. So the husband is like, hey, can I, excuse me, can you, I'm just trying to get back to that. And everybody's just moving around, dispersing and doing whatever. And so he's looking around like, what in the hell? So finally Sheriff Boyd goes up and he was like, hey, you know, how can I help you? And he was like, we're a little lost and we're just trying to get back on the road so we can get back to what we're doing. And so he was like, yeah, you want to drive over there and you'll find it. It was something very ominous, like you'll find it or you'll run into it or something like that. And he was like, okay. So he hurries up and get out in the car. And she was like, the wife was like, what the fuck is their problem? This is like her only valid question out of this whole episode. He was like, oh no, let's just go. He said, drive straight up there and, you know, we'll be good. So they drive and the deputy comes over to Sheriff Boyd and he was like, so, you know, it's been a minute since we had people come through. Like, what do you want to do? And he was like, let's just go and get the road spikes and let's just be prepared. So they already know what's coming. So they're going back again, and here go the wife again, nagging and did you miss a turn, and maybe we can go do this loop around, and you're driving too fast and we missed it. And so they're kind of having like a little bit of an argument. Then this car comes out of nowhere and it's driving towards them and it swerves into their lane. And so he tries to like swerve as to not hit that car, and they swerve and fall off on the side of the road. So a huge tree branch goes inside the windshield of the RV all the way through, and everybody, I think the dad was the only one in a seatbelt, and so everybody's just kind of like strewn about. So the wife is unresponsive, but she got thrown outside of the vehicle. The daughter didn't get very far. She was still back where she was, and so he's calling out to everybody. The wife is not responding. The son is not responding, but the daughter responds, and she's like, I think I'm okay. I just need to get from underneath this. And then she looks and she tells him, you know, the brother, she was like, I can't move him. Like something is inside of him. Like I think the table leg was inside of the son. And so she's panicking and freaking out. And he was like, no, like we're going to be fine. Like everything is going to be good. So then in the other vehicle, because they crashed too, the driver gets out and he looks under the influence of something. I don't know what it is. But he hit his head. So he's already under the influence, and then he hit his head. So he like throws up and he like walks off. So they're back and they're waiting for the van to come through the town again. And they're trying to get set up, so they lay out the spikes. And then the guy walks up. And so the deputy hadn't seen the driver of the family. And so the sheriff was like, what the hell? And so the deputy was like, oh, is this him? Is this him? And he was like, no, this is somebody else. So the deputy's like, two vehicles, like two different people. So the guy's like, hey, there's an accident up the road. There's another car that was in there. And so sheriff's deputy, I don't remember his name, but the EMT's name is Christy. Her name just came to my mind. He's like, take him back, take him to the like the assisted living facility / like the hospital, and get him taken care of. So they all hop in a vehicle to go to the crash site. So now they're on like borrowed time. So they go to the crash site and they see another guy. He like crawls out of the back seat and he's super under the influence. And the sheriff is like trying to talk to him, but he can tell like something is off. And the guy's just like, you all are just so beautiful and you just have great and perfect skin, and what is this, Nirvana, and I see unicorns. And so he handcuffs him to the steering wheel, and he just tells somebody else who came along with them, like, look after him, like make sure he's good to go. And so then Sheriff Boyd and the deputy and the EMT, because she gave that other guy to like the nurse's aide or whatever, and they're out there and they're going to look for the RV. So they go down to the RV and they see like all of the damage and everything that was done. You end up finding out that the wife was not dead, but she was like, she got a really nasty head wound because she was thrown from the vehicle. So they're in there and they're trying to do their assessments, and the deputy was like, the sun sets in 40 minutes. Like, we literally need to get a move on. So he tells the deputy, he was like, get that mofo that's attached to the steering wheel and get him back. And he's talking to the mom and the daughter after the EMT does the assessment, and they're like, you need to try to get them back. So the mom is like, no, I'm not leaving, and all this other stuff. And she's kind of in denial about the whole situation with her son, because she's like, no, I'm gonna sit here until everybody's out of the car. And the husband was like, our son is the reason why we're not leaving right now. Like, he's seriously injured. And they're all saying, like, you need to go. So here she go again. Why are they saying that we gotta leave? And why can't we stay out in the woods? Girl, I don't know. I met these people when you met these people. All I know is our son is in there with a table leg, impaling him and trapping him in there. You need medical attention. Our daughter needs medical attention. They're telling us to get the fuck up out of these woods because it's getting dark outside. Go away. Like, really, oh my gosh, she was irking me so bad. I feel so bad for the actress that this was written for, because she is on my everlasting nerve. Like, it is so bad. Anyway, they finally get them out. The deputy goes back and he's telling the son, he was like, yo, your dad is out there, we're gonna need like all hands on deck. So they go and recruit a few more people to try to like get everybody that was at the crash site that they can to come back, kind of help clear some stuff up. So Ellis does end up going out there or whatever, and they're helping. So they're getting everybody who they can, and then Sheriff Boyd goes with the EMT inside of the RV with the husband, and they're there with the child, because the sheriff was just like, look, we have to try to tend to this boy tonight. And the EMT was like, well, what do we do? And he was like, well, we're gonna have to do it in here. And she was like, well, will we be safe? And he was like, I don't know, but we're gonna have to figure something out, because we don't have time to remove this, stabilize him, and get him back. At this point, there aren't enough vehicles of opportunity for the situation anyway. So they're locking up everything. She's tending to the boy, and Sheriff Boyd is asking the dad, like, what do you have to cover these windows and do all this other stuff? So they're covering everything, and then he pulls out a talisman that he keeps on him. So the husband was like, what is that for? Like, what's up? Like, what's happening in the woods? And he was like, I'm just trying to do everything I can to keep us safe inside of this vehicle, because we've never been in this situation. And so you can hear like rustling and voices, and the EMT looks up to him and she's like, they're coming. And so the dad was like, who's coming? And he was like, look. So he goes to try to open the door, and Sheriff Boyd was like, put him in a headlock, like, you open this fucking door, it's gonna be a wrap. And he's trying to tell him in the best way possible, because they really haven't had a chance to kind of like recruit them into what's happening. So he has to like give him a crash course, like, at night these things will play on your brains. They will take form of the people that you miss, the people that you love the most, people that you haven't seen in a really long time, and they will kill you. So I'm trying to do the best that we can to keep all of us alive. So you just gonna have to trust me. I know it sounds crazy. It is crazy. We are all trapped here. You ain't going nowhere. Your wife ain't going nowhere. We are just here. So let's just focus on this. Please drown them out so we can survive in the morning. So then it's dark. They're trying to hurry up and get back to the house, and they're going back to where Donna's community is. And Ellis was like, do you think they won't even open the door? Like, we trained them not to open the door, because at night those things be knocking on the door, playing on your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And the deputy was like, we need to try, everybody haul ass and get to this door. So they're at the door, they're dragging that one dude, they got the wife, they got the daughter, and they're banging on the windows, banging on everything. And so everybody inside of that house is like, nah, don't open that door. And so one of the other people like, we have to open the door, we have to let them in. And they were like, no, you know the rules, like, we don't let them in. So the creatures looking like humans are coming, surrounding them at the house. And so the deputy is trying to like shoot at them, but they're not dying. The daughter that was in the car catches sight of, it looks like a dead high school kid. He's in like a Letterman's jacket. And so now she's like locked eyes with him. And so she's kind of having this out-of-body crisis. Donna comes from upstairs while all of this is happening, and she's like, let them in. And the one guy with a gun is like, no, like, what about the rules? And she was like, let them in, you know, fuck these rules, like, we need to get them in. So they open up, Everybody like tumbles inside, and then they hurried up and shut the door, boarded it or whatever. And the creatures are just outside, and they're like clawing at the door, and they're banging this and the third. So then they get in there, and then guns are drawn on mom and daughter. And so it's like chaos inside of here. And so things begin to like die down after the chaos. I'm kind of skipping ahead again, just to recap. And Donna gets a moment where she tells the wife and the daughter, like, what is actually happening? Like, you're never going to leave here. Like, we have been here and you come here and then we're trapped, but never have we ever had two come in one day at the same time. Here go the why. What do you mean? This isn't real. Why and what and when and where and how and who? Like, literally a Toni Braxton song. Why, when, where, how, who, what made you go off and do this crazy thing? Girl, go outside. Go outside then. Bye. Bye. So we're at the assisted living facility, and the guy who we find out name is Toby is there being taken care of by the nurse's aide. So she walks off, and he's just kind of laying in the bed or whatever, and she's downstairs making sure that the one patient that she has, which is the deputy's dad, is like good to go and everything locked in downstairs before she comes back up and boards for the night. So Sarah, the waitress from the beginning, comes in, and she's talking to Toby, and he was like, you know, is everybody okay? Like, I was just really fucked up. I think he took some drugs or something like that. And she's like, no, you know, like, everything is going to be fine. Like, you know, everything is going to be okay. And she stabs him from underneath the chin, that skin, through his mouth and up and through his brain. Like, out of nowhere. It's like, holy shit. So then she goes out the door and she leaves it open, y'all. She leaves it open. So she goes off and she's safe and everything like that. But these things saw that the door was open. So when the aide goes upstairs, she saw that it was open, and as she went upstairs, they were at the threshold of the door. And there was no talisman, there was no nothing. And so they saw her, so she runs into the basement and she tries to lock it and everything, but you guessed it, they got ripped to shreds. So there's that on season 1, episode 1 of From. Y'all. So obviously right out the gate, it's like this ominous thing. We know that these things come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night. Oh, that's appropriate with my shirt, Flying a Boss. And love them, they're amazing. Has nothing to do with the show. So yeah. So we know that these things come out at night. They're absolutely dangerous. They kind of remind me of, were they supposed to be the angels from Legion? Just with the teeth and the way that their bodies get like really, really abnormal, and like their fingers and their face and their teeth and their jaws like disconnect in order to consume humans. So that's kind of like what the monsters remind me of. But off rip, we are sucked into the plot. We don't know why this town won't let people go, but we know that the tree, the crows, and the loop, it's like the city or the town decides, no, my light died. I don't know if it's gonna die again. Continuity, people, continuity. It's like it decides who to take. And immediately after 2 people died in the town, 6 people were brought in. I don't know monster math. If you're watching the video, just let me see if I can rotate this so I'm not completely lost in the dark. So I don't know monster math, but kill 2, add 6, I don't know. Maybe it's like a statistics thing, but you kind of get the sense that the town chooses when to take somebody. And I don't know if it chose 2 cars to kind of replace the 2 bodies. We don't really know that yet, but that's just my theory. Like, it's hungry. And Sarah, who stabbed Toby, who was the reason for the car crash, I forgot to mention that when the family in the RV circled the second time, she was sitting on the porch, and her brother came out and was like, man, like, they don't even know what's coming. And she was like, the worst part is that they think that they're lost and they think they're gonna find a way out, and they can't. So there's like a little bit of maybe like a memory of when she and her brother got trapped, and killing Toby is almost like as if she's like doing them a favor. It's really weird. But we'll find out later on why she was doing what she was doing. So all we know is there's this talisman. Lock your doors, shut the windows, don't look at them, because if you show eye contact, like I said with the daughter, they will get in your head, and whatever you're thinking manifests in front of them. So we don't really know what the creatures look like outside of the projections of the human mind. And that's the best part, because what's scarier than your own imagination? So that is going to wrap up today's episode. Had a little bit of lighting difficulty at the end, but I'm glad it came at the end. Already did my plugs at the beginning, but also follow me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast. You can also catch me on Twitter at Kivanshi. Like I said, I be watching these shows, and just because I review one episode, I literally be on Twitter talking about the rest of these episodes. So I'm about to get on here and finish season 1. So that I can be caught up for season 3 later on this month. I think season 3 is coming soon, y'all. Soon. August, September, and October is stacked for TV shows. So get on your Googles, catch up on these shows, catch up on From. I promise you will not be disappointed. And that's going to end today's episode. See y'all in the next one.